Well, good day, everybody. I'm Russ Reed, and I'm the Executive Director of the National Center for the Biotechnology Workforce. And this is SciTech, and the SciTech Lecture Series has been running for 12 years now. And I'm delighted today because we have two guests, and one of those guests is very well known to us. The other is a new member of SciTech of our faculty. So I want to welcome you both, but here we have on the screen, no stranger to us at Forsyth Technical Community College, Dr. Gary Green. Welcome, Dr. Green.
Thank you, Russ. It's great to be back with you.
Dr. Green, we have a guest here, Bernie Siegel. Would you like to introduce our guest, please?
Would be happy and honored to it. And we're very pleased to have Bernie Siegel join us today. Bernie is the executive director of the nonprofit Regenerative Medicine Foundation, which has a mission of accelerating regenerative medicine to improve health and deliver cures. He founded and co-chairs the World Stem Cell Summit and the RegMed Capital Conference, and is founded and serves as editor of the peer-reviewed World Stem Cell Report. He's also the co-director of the annual Regenerative Medicine Essentials course, which of course is offered here at WFern, and the course was co-joined with the World Stem Cell Summit in 2021. Bernie's a recognized advocate and policy expert in the fields of stem cell research, regenerative medicine, and other related topics. He works with leading scientists and patient advocates around the world, raising public awareness, educating lawmakers, media, and public. Bernie, it's an honor to have you here, and welcome to SciTech.
Well, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much.
I want to welcome you both. And Dr. Green, we're very excited because you have a new post, and it's relatively new to us. And we would like to hear a little bit more about your new title, which is Chief Workforce Development Officer at the Wake Forest Institute for Regenerative Medicine and the Regenerative Medicine Organization. Could you tell us a little bit more about your post, please?
Happy to do that. After my retirement from the presidency at Forsyth Technical Community College, Dr. Anthony Atala, who's the executive director of the Wake Forest Institute for Regenerative, approached me about joining the institute and providing some support for workforce development policy. And so we began that effort almost 2 years ago now. And my position is an assistant professor, non-teaching research professor position at the Institute, and also serving as the Chief Workforce Development Officer. I also serve as the Chief Workforce Development Officer with the Regen Med Development Organization, which is a 501c3 affiliated nonprofit supporting regenerative medicine and working with individuals from Wake Forest as well as around the country to promote, in my case, workforce development for the Regen Med field.
Well, thank you for that overview. Really appreciate both of you coming on today. And really the basic question I'd like to ask you both is, can you explain to our community, and Dr. Green, you know our community very well, but can you explain what is regenerative medicine from your perspective, from a layman's perspective? And I would like to ask the same question of Bernie, because I think what's very, very important is for us to be able to connect with with our communities to make sure that they understand why this is an important medicine.
Yeah. Yes, I will try, though it's a very broad topic, and a number of perspectives can be brought to really defining regenerative medicine. But it's a branch of medicine that really develops the methods to regrow, repair, replace damaged or diseased cells, organs, or tissues. As Dr. Atala often says, it all starts with the cell. And so it's very much involved with cell science, cell biology. And it includes the generation and use of therapeutic stem cells, tissue engineering, and production of replacement organs. And these replacement organs and tissue can be used for transplantation, therapeutic applications, and also for diagnostics and testings, such as some of the current work on organoids and body-on-chip technology. So it's ultimately about creating cures to save lives.
Bernie, can you elaborate? You've been in this regenerative medicine business for a long time now, and I know that you've come to it with a special reason and a heart. Can you kind of tell us what does it look like from your perspective?
Well, I left my practice of law and decided to become a full-time advocate for these technologies close to 20 years ago. And I was a fairly young man when I had an experience with cancer. I'm well today, I'm glad to say. But I realized that cell medicine might be the curative force in medicine. So it was worthwhile devoting my career to organizing public support and regulations and laws that would advance this in a whole field in an ethical way. I think the framework that a broad framework is important. When you think about medicine, there are three well-known established platforms: drugs, biologics, medical devices. I perceive cell-based medicine as a fourth platform of medicine, potentially curative. But there are issues related, all sorts of issues as to regulation, manufacturing of cells, practice of cell therapies, reimbursement, a whole new branch that we have as a society have to consider. And not only that, if that isn't enough, there are geopolitical aspects of our field that have to be taken into consideration. If this is future shock and the future of medicine, all this convergence of technologies that we have today, right, is going to bring this future soon. Are we ready for it as a society? And there are broad ethical issues that still are cropping up every day.
I think this explanation is very helpful, and I think that our community will resonate with it. Coming back to you, Dr. Green, how strong is the Institute for Regenerative Medicine in terms of employees?
Well, actually, many in the North Carolina and the Winston-Salem region are surprised at the size and scope of the work at WFIRM. We have over 450 researchers and support staff now. That's grown from about 20 in 2004 when Dr. Atala brought his initial team here from Harvard. And that group, as Bernie was saying, is really a multidisciplinary team that is bringing converging technologies together. And I think that convergence is a good theme to sort of keep in mind. But we're talking about individuals who are in biomedical and chemical engineering, cell and molecular biology, biochemistry, physiology, material science, nanotechnology, genomics, drug delivery, surgery, medicine, across the board. So it's very much a multidisciplinary effort, bringing together technologies and new technologies that are emerging every day in this convergence that we call regenerative medicine.
Bernie, what about your foundation? Can you tell us a little bit more? I've been to your website. It seems like you have quite a team there. So I'm very interested in how the foundation sort of organizes itself and what it does on a day-to-day activity.
When I started this nonprofit, it was in league with some of the leading scientists in the stem cell field, specifically Dolly the Sheep's father, Sir Ian Wilmot, and Rudolf Janisch at MIT, and others. And it was forged originally out of the embryonic stem cell debate. It was a big wedge issue, especially in American politics. in about the years 2000 through 2008, 2009 especially. But over time, I realized a not independent nonprofit organization that could bring in all voices into the field and create a platform with an annual meeting, global meeting, would be very constructive. It's not what we disagree on, but what we can agree on as a human issue. An important, all societies support curing, right? Healing. So what's the common denominator? So we emerged not as just supporting one type of cell over another, but recognizing the field of cell-based medicine is so important, so futuristic. It requires an orbital view, almost a literal orbital view, because these cells are going right now into low Earth orbit on the space station, are being studied. This will impact all of humanity. I'm a firm believer in the power of collaborations, and 2 + 2 = 5. And my role in this, at this stage, I guess, of my career, is to facilitate collaborations and understand that this is beyond just research in a lab, that it involves patients and now investors, philanthropy, scientific discovery, freedom of scientific research, ethics, this whole bundle of concerns and opportunities that we have now at this point in time, this fragile point in time of our species. So these technologies are arguably species-altering events. Well, let's absorb that. But if we can cure or discover cures for some of the most worst afflictions, we should be doing this as quickly as possible. It's like a fire engine going to a fire. If we have the capacity to do this, and we don't want to wait 20 years for every drug that comes on the market that basically might help the symptom but not cure anyone, well, this could be something that we should all be working for at the same time and understand the full size and scope of the enterprise.
Well, thank you both for that explanation. I'd like to take the conversation into a slightly different direction. And for you, Dr. Green, having worked at SciTech as its CEO and president, I know that you were very concerned about us being able to meet the needs of employers. And now you're at a major employer within our community with the Institute. What kind of workforce do we need to have in order to make regenerative medicine happen?
Well, it's interesting because the workforce demands are changing and they're becoming more pronounced. And I salute Bernie and many of his colleagues in the policy and advocacy realm of regenerative medicine for making workforce now an important point. The workforce development is really about developing an educational ecosystem to support the work in regenerative medicine, the research, the clinical translation work, and ultimately scaled biomanufacturing of regen med products. And in those areas, each of those 3 areas require different needs, but it's all about developing a pathway and a continuum of skills that support regenerative medicine, starting with the technician level. And community colleges and baccalaureate granting institutions are very much a part of creating that initial lab techs and ultimately manufacturing techs and biomanufacturing to support regenerative medicine. It also requires project managers. It also requires a higher order researchers all the way through the PhD and MD level and postdocs. And so there's a continuum of needs around the workforce that have to be addressed. As regenerative medicine as a field has expanded, and as we're seeing now progress from the research entering the realm of clinical translation, currently WFirm has about 15 applications that are actually in patients now, regenerative medicine products, organs, tissues, as we move now into the production for clinical translation, and ultimately to scale that to manufacturing. More and more of the work is going to be done at the skilled technician level. And so the numbers are going to increasingly maybe skew towards the skilled technician that is associate degree or baccalaureate prepared relative to the number of actual scientific and medical researchers. So the field is changing. The workforce development needs are changing, and educational needs are changing. And to do that, we've got to address such things as faculty development, curriculum development, work-based and work-integrated learning opportunities. So students who are coming through who have an interest in health related and medical and biological related technologies have an opportunity to experience regenerative medicine, and then expand the support and advocacy for workforce development, regenerative medicine, which is, again, one of the things that Bernie is doing so successfully.
Well, thanks, Dr. Green. I think that's a really good segue into a question to Bernie. Bernie, a couple of years ago, you and I met. We were at a meeting, and that meeting was in Madison, Wisconsin, and you presented the most eloquent slide on the ecosystem. And I was just delighted when I saw that slide. I was wondering if you could just speak to what we call the ecosystem, and if you could put it into very basic terms so that our audience will relate to it. I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, as I am engaged in policy issues, workforce development was never a priority for me till I was invited to speak at this meeting. And of course, I had to furiously do research and actually terrified how I was going to be the opening talk to a group of scholars and technical teachers and academics as to the importance of this issue. And it really dawned on me that a tremendous bottleneck existed in the here and now and the future if the technical workforce isn't available to accelerate this field, and that the skill sets for regenerative medicine are not necessarily the skill sets that are within the curriculum of the current biotechnology technical courses, the excellent ones that are in many of the community colleges. I also understood that how important community colleges are to this, and in a way are underserved or not recognized for the importance, the critical importance they have to building this field and the excellence of the instruction. And where was industry in supporting this unmet need? So as I look at our small nonprofit as the center of an ecosystem with the nodes all around it, I thought about who the stakeholders are. Of course, clinicians, scientists, industry, cell manufacturers, journals, professionals, regulators, government. And if we just look at that as just a tiny group and not even consider the geopolitical issues and international societies and societies that are addressing this, how can we galvanize this priority of our society and our own government in the United States for building a technical workforce to a particular specialty area which has such vast implications? Then it dawned on me that this was a much bigger societal problem, and one that has to be placed into focus, not just with anecdotal stories from independent companies coming to me and saying, well, answering the question, how do you get your workforce? Well, we bring in people, we train them. Well, wouldn't it be better if the community colleges and the academic centers were training the workforce? Well, sometimes they come in, but you'd be surprised that these people with wonderful degrees don't have technical skills, and we still have to teach them. So that doesn't sound like a very efficient way for global competition or to build the labor force that we need. So it's a unique problem, and it needs to be brought to public attention.
Russ, if I could just interject there also, one of the things that Bernie has done by including workforce in that overall ecosystem is to start connecting regenerative medicine with agencies and organizations that are supporting workforce development, but may not have been connected in the past. While obviously FDA, NIH, Department of Defense, and others have been involved, we need to engage in what that effort is doing is now bringing Department of Education to the table. It's bringing the Department of Labor to the table. It's bringing the educational components as opposed to the research components of the National Science Foundation to the table. So all of that is really engaging more than the usual suspects at the federal level through the successful advocacy that we're seeing.
Well, I want to thank you both for coming on today, and I'm just going to ask you this one last open question. Is there anything that you'd really like to relate back to our community, which is the community college, our staff, our faculty, our students, and also those people who have a tendency to like to watch our SciTech lecture series? And as you know, Dr. Green, we've had over 4,000 people attend SciTech lectures. And because of COVID now, we're doing a lot of them virtually. So we're actually on the net. So people get to see these things all over the world. Is there any last reflections from both of you?
I would really defer to Bernie for those remarks, but I will say that regenerative medicine has been called sort of the future of medicine. Sort of as the field of medicine evolves, it's evolving towards the use of cells and a better understanding of sort of those core principles that are behind regenerative medicine. And this is the future. This is the future of treatment. It's the future of extending age and not just age, but the vitality of life. And right here in North Carolina, in the Winston-Salem region, we are a world center for that.
And I would just like to say that this is a wondrous field. And if you think about the images that come from the Hubble telescope, turn them inward and with the microscopy that we have today, and understand that I think 37 trillion cells in our body or something like that, give or take 30 trillion. It's a remarkable vision of elegant, otherworldly space that every living thing has. Well, when I look at this field, I'm thinking, especially to the community that we're speaking to today, opportunity. This is going to change everything. For those who are much younger than me that are going to this is the future. And you're at a foundational stage, whether you're into quantum computing, you're into pipetting, whether you're interested in cell biology, whether you're a chemist, all of these converging technologies exist, and it impacts every aspect of life. Fortunes are being invested in this now, and we aren't going to be able to succeed unless the students realize that the best opportunity for a future career is in this very space. I submit the technical workforce that will drive this forward as the rest of the century and beyond.
Well, I want to thank you both, and I think on that comment, Bernie, I want to say that what an exciting time it would be to be a student at Forsyth Technical Community College, right next door to a world-famous Institute for Regenerative Medicine. The possibilities are just endless. And
you just have to cross the hall and speak to you, and you don't have to be a mathematical wizard. I learned this. You can do this. You learn the math for what you were doing.
Yeah.
Even I could possibly do it as a lawyer. You never know. It'll be my next act.
That's right. Even lawyers could do it.
Even lawyers might be able to do it. Who knows? Well,
I want to thank you both for coming on today. And before we just sign off, I want to thank Sean Killebrew. And this has been an unfortunate week. The depending on how you look at things, in the sense that we lost 13 service people. And Sean is a veteran of foreign wars. And so I just want to say, Sean Killebrew, thank you very much for your service to the country. And also, I just wanted to thank you both for coming on today. And this is one of the most interesting subjects of our time as we go forward with respect to regenerative medicine. And thank you for your contributions.
It's our pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Russ.